Hi, Bonnie. How are you? I'm so glad that you're
Rebekah.
joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you.
I'm thrilled to have you here. And I wanted to ask you, can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Yes, my name is Bonnie Christine. I am first and foremost an artist, illustrator, surface pattern designer, mama, and also an educator. And so I create artwork for things like wallpaper and fabric. And then I also have the great honor of teaching other people how to do the same thing. So yeah, I teach Adobe Illustrator and surface pattern design.
I love all of that. And I've been a very happy student of yours since 2020, I want to say, was the first time I came across you. And I just love learning from you. So
Well, I love having you. I love having you and watching you do what you do so beautifully.
thank you. I'm so glad that you've taken some time today to talk to us because I wanted to share about the workshop that you have going on right now as we speak.
Yeah.
I've dove in and taken part of the first few days and excited to see today's. And I just wanted to see if you could share more about that workshop and what you're offering in there for free.
Of course. Yeah. So I teach a workshop every year, and I teach this workshop in celebration of the upcoming immersion course. And so it kind of is my invitation to everyone to come dip their toes into the breathtaking world of surface pattern design with no commitment. So I always say, it doesn't matter to me if you end up taking the course or not, come to the free workshop. It is valuable. It is packed full with actionable steps and takeaways, and you'll get so much out of it. So it's a 7-day workshop, and there are 4 lessons and 4 live sessions. And so, yeah, just 1 lesson and 1 live so far. So it's certainly like, come on in. There are replays of everything posted. The workshop is going to be available through February 22nd. So there's plenty of time. Lesson number 1 is about what surface pattern design is. What does it look like to have a career in it? 3 huge goals of mine that I think many of us share. They're time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom that this career can really help you fulfill. And then yesterday's live session was about 5 lies that we tend to believe as early designers and artists and why they're simply not true. And then we did a Q&A session. So lesson number 2 is about the stages of a flourishing designer. So over the last 10, 11 years, I've been able to see so many people's journeys, and they follow a fairly typical path. And so what it has led me to do is create this roadmap. It's a literal like blueprint to what it would look like from really the discovery stage all the way to working as a professional. And so I walk you through all of the stages, what you would accomplish at each stage, and then help you identify where you're at on the stage. Lesson 3 is about how to really take where you're at, where you want to go, and create like a personalized roadmap to progress for yourself. And then lesson number 4 is probably everyone's favorite. It's about how to create income as an artist and how to layer in multiple streams of revenue. The other 2 live sessions I'll be sharing, the workshop is called Secrets to Success. So I'm sharing these secret ingredients throughout the workshop. We're playing a little game with them as well. And so if you can identify all of them, you're entered to win an iPad Pro and Apple Pencil. So it's a ton of fun. The other 2 lives, I'll be sharing 5 common mistakes that new designers make, and then also 5 secrets to industry success.
That is so much valuable content. And I feel like you're so generous with what you give away and what you share, especially in the lives, because I've noticed that people are really taking advantage in a good way of having you there live. And I think the lessons are really packed full, but then any like lingering unanswered questions, students have been able to ask you anything, and
Yeah.
and you're generous and you show up for them, and you answer whatever questions they have.
Yeah.
Some of those lives go on past an hour. And it's
Yeah, we were on almost 2 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. And even, if I happen to not submit a question, I like listening, because I feel like what other people are wondering, I'm also wondering. So I feel like you just gain so much insight even from just listening to the lives. So
Yeah,
I really enjoy
they're
that.
so much fun. I mean, in the first live, we had people from all over the world, and we cried, we laughed, we were vulnerable, we talked about some hard things. Like, I think that I just say I hold nothing back. And so I'm an open book. Let's talk about what you want to talk about, answer the questions that you have. And yeah, specifically I'm layering in those like kind of secrets and the lies. So I'm teaching a little bit on the lives too, which is new for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really fun. So
yeah. And I feel like the information that you give is like digestible. You're taking it in, and like, I love all the points that you touch on in the 4 lessons. And I love that you are teaching to such a wide audience. You have all age ranges, you have all cultures, all backgrounds, all genders, like anybody is welcome. And I love that aspect of it as well. And something that you say a lot is that there's room for you. And I feel like you say it, but you also show it. So I really like that.
Yeah, there's room. That saying means so much to me. Someone told it to me when I was first starting out. And not only is it a truth, like there is literally room for more artists. And, sometimes I think about, a lot of people wonder, is this market saturated? And I think, we create artwork for products, and like, there's so many products. I know you do books and editorial stuff. And just think about the endless possibilities of the things that need artwork on them. But also I think it's a mindset. Do you believe that there's room for you or not? And if you don't, it will kind of stifle your confidence and your ability to show up. And if you do, then you just make room. You say, like, move out of the way. Here I am. Yeah. And so I think that it's a big part of it too.
Yeah. I feel like each person has a different take on their lens and how they see the world. And if it's like when you're out shopping or anywhere, shopping online, shopping in person, if you don't find what you're looking for on products, it means that it's not saturated, because your taste isn't showing up in that shop or that item. Yeah. And so I feel like for every different taste that's out there, there's a different artist who can make it. So there's just so much. I mean, with as many different kinds of people there are in the world, there should be that many different kinds of art. So
yeah. Oh my goodness. I love that perspective.
And along that note, as you know, I'm multi-passionate, and I really like the aspect that surface pattern design can be incorporated into something like a career that someone's already on, or a passion that they already have. You can add surface pattern design to that. And that was my intent back when I started learning from you, was that I am an author illustrator, but I also really wanted to make art and make it for different purposes. Like, I still love books. I will always love making books. And I also want to make art for other things. I just want to do everything. So what would you say to someone who is multi-passionate and wants to add this in to something?
I think I want to say maybe all of us are. I think that surface pattern design has a way of finding creatives who feel multi-passionate. And I think it's because it seems to just check all the boxes. There so many of us kind of come to this with things we've tried, like handmade shops and maybe logo design or graphic design, or just little bits of like flexing our creativity, but something about it doesn't check all the boxes. And surface pattern design does. It's selling, licensing your artwork is selling with really no cap. Like, you can create income while you sleep sort of thing. So that's a huge box that's checked, as opposed to something that really is trading time for money. It's, like I said, you can do it from anywhere. You can do it anytime. So many of us have, small kids or a day job or all these other things. And so you can fit it in on the weekends or on the evenings or in the nooks and crannies. I have a student who just reached out to me yesterday that said she gets up at 3 a.m. to work on it. And it made me emotional. But it is something that's independent of typical kind of structure of business and a job. And I think that that really taps into our creative heart and being able to apply what we know. So, you're a great example of this. A typical kind of storyline for someone who comes in and takes this course is to come out licensing their artwork. But there are so many different avenues that you can take, like book illustration, and so many different things that you can do with the same skill set. My mom has a sewing pattern business, meaning she designs the illustrations for her own sewing patterns. So it's a bit of a unique use of the program, but I think that learning the skill set, Adobe Illustrator, and how to format everything really does open up so many doors.
Yes. And I love that you can learn Illustrator and then you can continue expanding. Like I never get bored with it. There's always something else to learn, always some sort of shortcut or a new way to do things. And like you've taught, there's like 5 different ways to accomplish the same thing. So you end up finding a workflow that kind of matches your personality.
Yeah, you're right. I'm the pro, and every time I'm in Illustrator, it expands. There's something different that I learned to do, and it's really fun.
Yeah. I'm finding it a lot of fun. I love incorporating digital with traditional, and that's also something you teach, is taking traditional brush strokes and vectorizing them. And I love that it doesn't have to look digital. It can look painterly, and I love that.
Yes. So. Oh yeah. I'm super passionate, right, about, it doesn't mean that it has to look like it's vector art or geometric. It can be super organic and feminine or delicate still.
Yeah, just look at your ferns, like behind you, like,
right. I've got lots of examples. Here's an example. This doesn't look like it was created in vector art. This is a mixture of like pencil sketches, which I love doing because it maintains that grittiness, and brush strokes.
Yeah, I love that. You touched on something that I wanted to talk about too. That's kind of interesting, is how you said, like, most students, not most, or I guess it's intended, to be able to license your work straight out of the course. And sometimes I feel like someone who has a lot going, they become really hard on themselves, thinking that they have to have a schedule, or they have to stay on that same timeline as someone who is really honing and focusing one skill. What if you're honing and focusing, 5 different skills, and you have 4 different projects with deadlines, and you feel like you're constantly juggling? So what, I feel like I've taken some time to develop my portfolio. I've completed 3 collections since first learning how to make repeat patterns. And I'm on the cusp of what I feel like will be like, a licensing career. So I have intended on that, but I haven't followed the same timeline as someone who has only been doing surface pattern design. And I feel like sometimes people are hard on themselves, like, speaking from personal experiences, that you think like, oh, I'm behind, or, oh, I'm not where I should be. And I was wondering if you can speak to that a little.
Yeah, we address this a lot because the course is delivered over 8 weeks. And, it kind of depends on the ability of someone coming in. So we kind of assume no ability. So we kind of assume that you don't have a sketching practice and you've never opened Adobe Illustrator before. And we go from there. We build from the very basic foundation. Some people who come in who've been working in the program for many years will come in and kind of just hit the ground running. But we talk a lot about timelines. There's truly no such thing as behind. As a student, you get lifetime access to the course. And so we talk about really being comfortable being on your own timeline. And so some of the best success stories are from students who took 6 months to go through the course and take the proper time to really do it. We have students who take it in live time and then they start it over as soon as we're done and go slower the second time to really practice every moving part of it. Oftentimes our biggest successes come at the 1 and 2 year mark, because it just does take time. If you've never had an art practice, there's a lot of exploration that has to happen. And I want to be careful because this might feel like a drab, but oh my goodness, it is the most fun time. It all has to do with your perspective of it. And so I took 2 years and I took a full year to do nothing but create artwork. And it was the best year. This was in 2011. And I just was one with my art. I created and went down rabbit holes for fun and created whatever I wanted to create and really learned how to gather inspiration. And I worked with pencils and pen and paintbrush, and it was so much fun. And that's part of the process that kind of gets you across the gap into the other side, where you have a sense of a style and a confidence in your work and your approach to work. So we kind of teach you everything you need. And, we also, on the flip side, have students that, will get their first licensing deal before the end of the course. Like some people just up and run. So we really address that quite a lot, that there's only your own timeline, and whatever it is, it's okay. And this is what it might look like if it's 6 months, or this is what it might look like if it's 12 months.
Right. And that's one of the great things about it. It's self-paced in the sense that it is lifetime access. So you stay on track, but then you can also revisit. So.
Yeah. And we move to pretty advanced. So the last module is on creative entrepreneurship. And so a lot of times people will take that and then they will go back and kind of work on the artwork piece of it. And then when they're ready to build the business, they come back and revisit module 6 and really implement it when they're ready.
Yeah, everything is so valuable. And this is immersion that we're talking about right now.
It's immersive. Yeah. We transitioned, didn't we?
I didn't even realize. I was just like, wait, I'm talking about something. Yeah. So what I love about immersion is that you don't just teach the art aspect of it, you do teach the business side. And I've learned so much from you for my art business, because even though I have a bachelor's and a master's in art, I feel like there was a lot of business that I just was missing. And I've learned so much from you in the past couple of years in terms of how to be a creative entrepreneur. So,
I think about, what is it that sets this course apart? What makes it students find so much success or love it so much? And it came natural to me to weave those two together, because I went to business school, and I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur at my core, but I'm also so creative. And to me, they have to go hand in hand. But what I've learned is that so much of the creative world, the art world, just teaches art, and they don't teach you how to be successful with it. I had someone tell me once, I walked into an art gallery, and this was before I was a licensing artist, but after I graduated college, and I was lamenting to the owner that, I wish I had gone to art school. And he said, you can be the best artist in the world, but if you don't know how to market your work, you will never be successful. And it just always stuck with me, because I actually think kind of the opposite is true too. Like, you can really not be the best artist in the world, but if you know how to market, you can still find success. And so building the business and also the mindset around what it takes to grow a business. Like, let's talk about imposter syndrome and what it feels like to show up and show your work and be vulnerable and have an abundance-based mindset where success is normalized. There's a lot of mindset stuff that I don't really talk about on the front end, but really we weave a lot of it into the experience.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I've learned so much. I mean, there's so many aspects to immersion and the content that you're giving in the free workshop and everything. There's so much that I've learned. So it's really hard to say like, oh yeah, that's the most that I've learned from, or that's the most, because everything is. So, well, would you have any last thoughts for someone who's on the fence thinking like, oh, I'd love to learn surface design, but I'm too this, or I don't have enough of that? Like, is there anything you would say to someone who's just even a little bit curious, but they're not sure?
Yeah. If you are curious, come to the workshop. It's the perfect way to like figure out its clarity. The confidence, the workshop gives clarity. And so you'll leave. There's no way that you can go through the workshop and not know at the end whether this is something you want to pursue or not. You'll either be obsessed with thinking about it and the opportunity of it, or you'll think, no, I'm good. So come to the workshop. I would say truly, on the live yesterday, I held up a sign that said, I'm to fill in the blank. And comments just started scrolling. I'm too old. I'm, too busy. I'm too lazy. I'm too overwhelmed. I'm too nervous. All of these things. And it made me emotional because we've all felt those things. I don't think anybody feels that they have everything they need in order to make something big come true. Mm-hmm. And I certainly felt all those things, massive overwhelm, deep fear of failure, but also fear of success, like all of these feelings. And I think that one thing that we really need to be careful of is looking at someone who's found success and assuming that they didn't struggle with those things.
Yeah,
they did. They did. They struggled with overwhelm. They struggled with fear, but they did it anyways. Yeah. So many people who are in their 60s taking the course and saying, I want to reinvent myself. I want to pivot. Tons of stories from people who are to something and they're showing up anyways, and they're finding success because of it. And I think we all have something that we could fill in the blank with there. I mean, very few of my students, I can't even think of someone who would just feel like I got everything I need to, do this. But the difference is showing up anyways.
Yeah. I think we see people's highlight reels, right? Like on social media, we see the highlights and we don't see the struggle because that's not what people share. So I think we have to keep that in mind and not compare ourselves to anyone because we're all on our own track. And that's the important thing, is that we enjoy what we do. If you enjoy it, then it's meant to be.
I love it.
I was just noticing the pieces of paper on the wall behind you.
Yes.
Are those the seeds? The seed paper? Is that all the seeds that you were talking about? Can you talk about those real quick?
Yeah. So part of what we do every year is we put all of our students' name on a piece of paper and we put it on the wall, because for me, it's deeply symbolic that it's not a number. It is a person with a dream and goals and, commitment and all of these things we're talking about, fear and overwhelm and all these things. And I don't take it lightly. Like, it's not lost on me that each one of these people have a reason that they've shown up and said yes. So these people are alumni. So I mentioned students have lifetime access to like their year of the course. And so we also open up the course to alumni before our public kind of open enrollment period. We open it to alumni for a deep discount. So alumni get 75% off if they want the new course, which gives them all the new stuff and the community and all the things. And so this year we had 25% of alumni come back and sign up to take the course. And I think that it is, so that's their names up there. They're on wildflower seed paper. So I'm going to be planting everybody's name after the course.
That's so cool.
In the spring and watch it grow, which is so symbolic. But, I think that is such a huge compliment to the actual course and the community. I think it's such a compliment to the community, and what a difference it makes for people to surround themselves with others who understand what they're doing, how to support them, how to answer their questions. And it's just like, we rise together. Yeah. And so it was really, really thrilling to see how many people showed up and said they want to come back. So
yeah, I'm on there somewhere.
Your name is up there somewhere.
Can't wait to see what flower, comes from my name. That's really neat.
I know.
Yeah. And I know you'll probably show us on your Instagram or something. So
yeah, yes, I will. Me too.
The community, it's unmatched. I found it was a great place to land after kind of coming down from such an amazing community at grad school.
Yeah.
When I started working on my own, it was so different because I didn't have all of the students around me. I didn't have all the professors to be like, hey, what about this? And I feel very fortunate to have found your community right after that, because that's where I have found encouragement and friendship. And, after having left other very positive community that I'm still part of, not being on campus anymore and then working alone in your studio, it's just such a shift. So
such a shift. Not many of us have people in our day-to-day life that really truly understand what we're doing. Yep. And so to all of a sudden be surrounded by people who do understand what you're doing and also want to support you and encourage you and answer your questions, it's transformative. I mean, I wish I would have had when I was learning.
Yeah. And I feel like that's part of the reason why alum come back, right? Is to be
for sure.
To feel the encouragement, to feel that momentum begin in spring. And it's so much fun. It's something great to look forward to. So
yeah, me too.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me today and spending time to go over everything you have going on in a very busy season. So
thank you so much. It's so fun to chat.